Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville's Citizens Night and Council Work Session. Today is Wednesday, April 8th, 2015, approximately 7 p.m. If we'd all kindly rise for the Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tim, you want to grab that list down there? We're going to go by, if for anybody signed in, Mr. Little's going to grab the list, and for the folks that signed in, we'll put you up first.
Sounds terrible.
Again.
Doesn't feel so good either, Tom.
You overthinking?
Tom Henningsen, please.
No, I didn't see that.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Tom Henningsen. I'm a resident of Monroeville. A couple of weeks ago, we had a meeting at the senior citizen where it was possible to talk to you, Mayor, and some of the people of council. And I would like to come back to one of the issues that was discussed at that meeting, and that was a question about delinquent tax properties. The issue came up because some of the people in the audience, I believe, mentioned the problem with maintenance on some of these properties. And you, Mayor, explained the concept of the land bank. And it's my and your frustration with the fact that it's not moving through the school board.
That is correct.
It's my understanding that the land bank basically comes in at the point where property has deteriorated to the point that it is difficult to put it back on the market again, if I'm understanding this correctly. So that basically the land bank will step in, take on the property, and maybe get tax relief from some of the agencies like the municipality so that the property can be put back on the market again. The question I was bringing up is, why do we wait until a property deteriorates to that point? And I'm talking about residential properties here, if a residential property has not had the taxes paid for, say, 3 years, shouldn't Monroeville step in and do something before the property deteriorates to the point where you really can't even get the taxes back out of it again, which is a point where I understand the land bank would step in?
If I can help you out with that, Tom, I
Yeah.
think you might have missed some of the stuff I said. If the land bank is set up for obviously homes like that, but also homes that are just abandoned, like we have some of our folks that some of our seniors have passed on and the kids are not interested. As you heard, I don't know if you've ever been to any of the meetings where the land banking, Amanda Settlemeyer did some, addressing that issue. They've had folks obviously even donate their homes to the land bank, and they're in nice shape. They only have to do a little bit of work to get it back on the rolls, if you will. As far as the delinquent taxes go, again, we pursue them really almost after the first year there. Mr. Fulkers, you want to come on up and address that a little bit of that too? We chase them all the time. As long as the property, now if it starts to deteriorate to a certain point, then certainly, things can move on, if you will, but that's not a cheap endeavor, and that's not a short process either. That's a minimum of a year, and if we wanted to just even sheriff sell it, that's $5,000 up front, and you have to go through a lot of hoops It's not that easy just to go in because you're behind, but Mr. Fulkerson, would you address the delinquent that we do pursue them vehemently?
Again, we just became the delinquent tax collector.
Correct.
We also got, we just put our data on the software this past 2 months, and we started pursuing the delinquents. As you can see in your reports, as a delinquent tax collector, we are now almost 90% for our budget for this year. We've budgeted 50,000, we're at over 40,000, and we're only in the third month. We do pursue it every month, but you have to realize at the same time that the municipality is the lowest one on the totem pole. You have Allegheny County, and then you have the school district. What I like to do at the end of the year, after we get settled and after I map this out, I was going to work with COG, and what they're going to do for me is that they're going to map all the delinquents that we have on our books. And what we like to do is isolate it on the ones, if they're in one district or they're in one location, then we would like to do is get together with the school district in a partnership and find out which properties that we would like to go after as sheriff's sale. But I think we have to do this after we look at the records. You just can't go out and say, we're going to just do it.
Correct.
There is a cost associated with going to sheriff's sales, and there's a procedure going to sheriff's sales. And I don't know all the procedures, but I'm working with the DICE's office, and I will find out what exactly we can do.
It's not as easy, Tom, as just go and do that.
No, I understand that, and I'm not really approaching this from the money side, and I understand that the municipality is on the low end of
lowest.
that. But I guess a little over a year ago, we had a presentation at the Sustainable Monroeville. That's a small group in Monroeville that look at some of these, not these issues, but a bunch of issues. And there were some young people that came in from Wilkinsburg and talked about what they were doing on a particular road. When I went home, I looked up the county tax site, and virtually none of the properties on that road were paying taxes. So you wonder how you can have a sustainable community in that area. In other words, what I'm concerned about is the contagion. I'm aware of some properties that falls in this category. I don't know if you were, we had a meeting in the Garden City, a safety meeting here about, well, it was last year, where some residents brought up a property that apparently had significant problems in terms of what the people who were living there were doing, trash and so on. And I went home and I looked at the county website, and sure enough, here again, we had an absentee landlord. So I'm suggesting to you that there's a bigger picture than just the money you can get out of it, but basically the effect it has on the value of the surrounding properties.
There's no question.
And if you remember the meeting, there were, of the people that were at the audience at the senior meeting, there weren't that many people, but a surprising number of those people spoke up about knowing adjacent properties that had this issue. One of the issues, again, you may remember, had to do with the sheriff sale and the cost of that. It's my recollection, and I may be wrong, but that a few years ago, Monroeville passed an ordinance that would basically allow them to pass on the cost of the sheriff's sales. And I don't know if our attorney can speak to that issue.
Sorry, what was the question, sir?
It's my understanding that a few years back, again, the question of delinquent taxes were coming up, that Monroeville passed an ordinance that basically allowed them to charge not only the taxes and penalties and so on, but also the costs of the sheriff's sale itself.
That is correct.
Yes, but the only problem with the whole deal is, you can say you can pass on the cost, but if you're only going to receive for that sheriff's sale $2,000, and your costs are $10,000, and your back taxes are another $15,000, you're going to receive nothing.
Well, that's my whole point.
So
Why
there
do-
isn't, so the cost associated with it, even though you accumulate the cost, doesn't mean you're going to get it.
No, but that's my whole point. Why do we wait until, the example was used by somebody else at the senior meeting, saying, well, we have a property worth $100,000. It's now declined to 30,000. Why do we wait until it goes to zero? In other words, if somebody has been delinquent for 3 years, why not step in at that point? See, I made a back of the envelope calculation. My family has lived in Monroeville for 40 years. If we had decided right from the beginning not to pay taxes, we could right now walk away from that property with a nice little nest egg, assuming good investments. So it's really almost like you can live here without paying taxes. And there's an adjacent problem. Do you know who lives in these houses? Because if, and again, I'm thinking back to specific examples, if the people that are living there are not registered, Monroeville is not getting the income taxes either.
With that new ordinance that we passed, every time if you're in an apartment or if you're in a rental home, you have to notify the municipality, and then we have to go out and make sure it's up to our code, if you will.
All right, there's another issue here. You're talking about delinquent taxes. Do you know how much delinquent taxes are in Monroeville? But the you put out a bills for $9.5 million. This year, we have exactly, and it's going to go to delinquents at $200,000. That's about 97% of the people in Monroeville pay their taxes. You have a very, very small group of people that are not paying their taxes. To go overboard on these people and put all your resources doesn't make sense to me. Now, if you have a problem with your homes going down in your neighborhood, first of all, I'd be calling the zoning or the planning group of people complaining. And I would complain about what's going on in their neighborhoods. Now, just to isolate, saying all these delinquent, we have a total delinquent from 1970 to the present time of $590,000. Isn't that amazing? I mean, any community would say, if I only had $590,000 worth of delinquent taxes from the year 1970 to the present time, these people are doing very well. Or most people in Monroeville are paying their taxes. And you get out to about 98 to 99% of the people in Monroeville pay their taxes. So I don't think the issue is delinquent taxes. I think the issue is that certain people don't keep up with their property. And people don't, they're not nice neighbors. They let the garbage, they let the streets, they let the things go bad. Well, that's up to a neighborhood to address that problem.
By calling the municipality, we do have inspectors that can go out and review any property. Now, again, if we don't, I know they get out there, but there's what, 14,000 homes or almost that many?
10,000.
I want to bring something to Mr. Henning, point to you. There are a lot of foreclosures that are in the limbo stage from the financial institution. Financial institutions holding them, they're not letting them go until they satisfy the past debt on them. So that's one issue that we got to try to resolve. We've been after the financial institutions. They don't want to put the money in. We went after the former property owners. They're not claiming responsibility because the house went into foreclosure. Another issue is there's probably a dozen properties in Monroeville that the owners died, and they deeded it over to the heirs. And the heirs they don't want anything to do with them. So when you contact their attorneys, the attorneys try to get things straightened out. Some of these heirs live out in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and other parts of the United States. It's hard to try to coordinate all that. So as a result, in that process of trying to get it resolved, that property continues to deteriorate. The municipality goes in. I could tell you last year we probably spent $5,000 on property maintenance issues, just going in and keeping the grass cut to make it look presentable so people can enjoy living next door to it. GLS, they were a group that went in and bought a bunch of homes up through the municipality, actually all through Allegheny County, probably back in the early or late 1990s. There was a lawsuit. involved with that, and all of a sudden, all these properties now lay limbo. We have probably 4 or 5 in Monroeville that are owned by GLS. I've sent them numerous letters to try to get them to maintain it. They don't want to respond to me, and as a result, I got to step in. Summers Drive, California Avenue, I mean, I could go on. There's numerous issues. So we've tried to resolve the problems, but you always run up against that brick wall when the legal people get involved here, and it's tough to resolve sometimes, and we're trying.
But these properties you're mentioning here now, is there enough residual value there that you could cover your sheriff's expenses?
I know a lot of them. The one specifically on Bellwood Avenue that the father died and willed it to his son. His son didn't want nothing to do with it because there were so many back liens on the property. That ended up being infested by vermin. We ended up ripping it down. Same, good
This is
example.
where the bank would come in.
The land bank
The
would
land
be
bank.
perfect with that.
This is the subject.
See, that's the issue. See,
Yeah,
that would be
yeah.
a real good tool
And we
for us.
we passed that.
Immediately.
We agreed
Yes,
to
I
the land bank, and
See,
the school board denied
We
it.
try to resolve that legally, but to try to get the son to sign off to get us to take over the property was, I mean, the neighbors on either side were willing to buy the property. But trying to get that legal issue straightened out,
But I think if we had the land bank issue, that would
they're
rectify
willing
it
to-
through their legal.
Yeah, see, they
Sure,
have
they're
some
willing to
other
put the
tools that
bill
we
on.
don't
Sure,
have.
Right.
absolutely.
Well, that's what they're about.
Yeah.
From my understanding, I'm not really up on it.
You're correct, Steve.
But
though.
Steve,
They have tools that we
you're
don't
right,
have.
but if the school board will not sign on like we did, they cannot move forward.
And I believe the mayor asked if you and your group would go to a school board meeting and present these exact same, we're in favor of it.
Right.
We're trying.
No, I understand, yeah.
They're
So
fighting us.
you need to go up to the school board and ask them why they're against it. Why don't they want to play ball with it and,
If you look, and if you get a chance, Tom, you might want to visit with Amanda privately, and she'll show you Allegheny County, and she'll show you where Monroeville is with our blighted and other issues in property. We're minute, but I'm the old school that if you don't deal with the cancer now, it only gets bigger.
Right.
And that's where I guess I'm leaning on the school district to hopefully, they'll agree to do this, because that's another tool beside all what our staff does. Again, Pat brought a good point up, Tom. Out of all the taxing bodies, we get the least amount of everybody, but it falls on us to make sure that they at least reasonably keep up the property, reasonably keep the grass cut, and when they don't, you as taxpayers pay for that. I'd like to stop that as much as we can.
Mayor, we do get reimbursed for a lot of that.
Oh, I understand that, but it's still, you're still putting
Your time and effort and everything.
effort and all the other staff involved. So there's more cost to that than just, if you will.
Well, I
So
met with
we're
the-
working, Tom.
Yeah,
Mayor,
no,
I met with Amanda, and she explained to me, they probably have about 10 different options that we don't have.
Yeah.
And one of them is just break even on the property, but turn it back into tax-paying property.
right.
So they have a whole bunch of options that we don't have. But again, like everybody else has said here, she's reiterated to me, the school board is the
Yeah.
top taker on this thing, and then the county, then us. County's already okay with it. We're already okay with it. We're missing one piece of the puzzle.
They're the brick wall in this.
No, and I agree that Pat has a very good statistics, and by no means am I,
Oh, no, I know,
No,
that. That's not the, I think you have to know the statistics. And like
Moving
you
on.
do like you do your homework, which you do a good job, that's what it's all about. But you have to realize, we care about costs, at least I do in my department, and I care about collections.
yeah.
But the other organizations in Monroeville should be, and they care about their jobs. And they, by policing the neighborhoods.
But what, I guess, just to go to the bottom line, I see a contagion effect here. I have some specific examples in mind, and I think one of the tools in the toolbox is the collection of the taxes. And the municipality has the responsibility for the contagion effect. The school district is just money, but the municipality also has.
They have this, no, they chase delinquent taxes as
Oh,
well.
yes, they do a very good
They
job.
do as well. Believe me,
Yeah,
they,
no, I understand.
they work
If
with
you-
us, or sometimes, most of the time,
Weiss organization does a fine job,
yeah.
and they pursue them very nicely.
Vehemently, I agree.
Well, They're on top of the game.
Thank you, I don't want to
No,
drag
no,
it
no
out.
problem. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel Martone.
Marston.
Oh, Mar-
M-A-R-S-T-O-N.
Well, it looks like, okay, well, I didn't see the S, sorry.
That's okay. Hi, my name is Daniel Marston. I'm here from the Human Needs and Resources Board to give you an update on some of the things that we're doing. I wanted to start, Mr. Mayor and Ms. Gatos, who's our liaison, you had invited us to the Moreauville Interfaith Ministerium, which is a rather large organization of a number of different people who represent other organizations that help
From
people in
Allegheny
need.
County, Don.
Yeah,
Yes.
that help people in need, which is pretty much our job as well. And we had a representative from our committee go there, and there was a lot of shared interest. They had a considerable amount of interest in the transportation packet that we sent you, the transportation information. We had a lot of requests for packets from that. So it seemed to be a really good connection there, so I just wanted to thank you for inviting us to that. All the members of council have received, I know you all had this packet that we came up with about the transportation issues in Moreauville. What we would like to do is move forward. We're going to try to put this online, connected to the municipality website, is all the information about the transportation in Moreauville. So we'd like to move forward with trying to get that worked out.
I thought we discussed that last month and to move forward with that, and Tim
I
gave
think
us
you
the
have a-
okay, and.
Yeah, well, no, that's with the survey. That's my second thing. As far as the transportation packet goes, we had sent you the packet and said we'd follow up and make sure there wasn't any problem with it, and it didn't sound like there was, so I was just basically saying we're going to move forward with doing that.
Okay.
And then I also did want to bring up that the survey, which is online, and I guess I just wanted to make sure to let the council know, and also just to let the public know that we do have that online. It's on the municipality website. It's essentially to find out what people think are the main needs that need to be addressed from Moreauville. We've gotten about 45 responses already, so it's moving forward. And I just wanted to let you know that.
Make sure you please send a rep to each of those meetings. They are about once a month. Sometimes it may be a little bit more, but you hooked in now on that email?
No, I need to be.
Okay, I'll take care of
Yes.
that, and then she can pass that over to you guys.
And the next one's May 1st, so we've already, like I
is
said,
correct.
we've been having some interaction with them. So that was very helpful and seemed to be a lot of shared interest there.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
And just to follow up, please, people, take the survey if you can. It takes 5 minutes, but gives a lot of information to the Human Needs and Resource Board to try to help you find out what you need, what you want, what you're, so please take the time. It's important. Thank you.
And for our next person that signed in, I apologize.
Looks like Gallagher, but I'm not sure.
One Oxford Center?
Yes, I didn't mean to sign it.
Somebody signed you in.
We didn't mean.
That was just a mistake.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, got it. Yes, sir.
Hold on through.
He wants to get out of here.
It's done. Holy smokes. All right, anybody else, any other resident would like to address council? This is certainly your time. If not, we'll close that proportion of our meeting. Seeing none, we'll move over to our work session. And how about, want to bring up John Atkins, if you'll please come on up. Nice to see you again, John. Please state your name for the record. Sign in if you would. Tough crowd here tonight, isn't it?
I see that. Ain't seen nothing yet. Good evening, folks. My name is John Adkins. Hi, Mayor, Tim, council folks. I'm the location manager for a television series that's coming to Pittsburgh this season. And we're going to shoot 13 episodes here in Pittsburgh. It's called Outsiders. And we're going to do some of it here in Monroeville, which we're pretty excited about. This will be the third time that I'll have worked on a production shot here in this municipality. We did big scene for the movie Foxcatcher at your convention center a couple of years ago, and we filmed at the Monroeville Mall a portion of The Fault in Our Stars, if anybody has seen that movie. But this will be my third time here, and I'm happy to be here. I grew up not far from here, spent some time in Monroeville, and we'll be spending quite a bit of time here this summer. The story revolves around a family that lives in a mountain in Kentucky, and they've lived there for 6 generations. They kind of live off the grid, and they've sort of established their own world there. A big coal company comes into the community. They want to push this family off of this mountain, which is federal land, and the family's just not having it. So that's what the season revolves around, a coal company battling this family with this little town caught in between. Our mountain, Shea Mountain in Kentucky, is going to be here in Monroeville. It's going to be at the Henry Kaufman Camp, the Jewish community property, over off of Rosecrest Drive. And to tell you a little bit more about the show, there's some actors that some of you might be aware of who are going to be a part of this. One is a fellow named David Morse, who reached initial prominence in a television series called St. Elsewhere.
Put it in the center of the table right there.
Yeah, and
There
the
you
eye in
go.
the sky will grab it.
And Joe will probably tell you to move it. Can you grab, there you go, okay.
Move it.
That's how we look around with
Move
that
that-
voice.
See the television. See the television?
There you go, see the telephone? There you go.
Get it square, yeah.
So the guy on the left, that's David Morse. He came to prominence in a television series called St. Elsewhere back in the 80s.
Okay, yeah.
And
Cool
most
guy, I like
recently was here in Pittsburgh working on a Will Smith movie where he played Mike Webster. And I had the pleasure of watching this guy do Mike Webster's Hall of Fame speech, which was a really cool thing for the Pittsburgh cast. The guy in the middle is a guy named Ryan Hurst, who probably came to fame in a movie called Remember the Titans, which was a great football movie with Denzel Washington.
Yeah, great movie.
And most
Denzel
recently,
Washington.
what's that?
Denzel Washington.
What did I say?
You said
Oh,
that.
and he
yeah,
was
yeah.
in the movie. Okay.
Good to know.
You're going to get some of it.
And he's most recently was in a series called The Sons of Anarchy. He played a character named Opie, if any of you have seen him.
Yes.
Thomas Wright will be playing our sheriff. I don't know much about him, but there are others who do. I met him yesterday, though. He seems like a great guy. Those are the guys who are going to be in this thing as featured cast members. We will be reaching out to the community for extras. And we would certainly place priority on folks here in the municipality for people who might be interested in.
It's in my ward.
Is that?
I just want to throw it out there.
That was going to be one of my questions. So Ward 5 is where we are? Okay, good to know.
Should we start
Wait,
getting
you
our
wanna be a
photographs
star?
ready
I
for
want to be
you?
a star. We're going to battle for the star,
been
battle
before
for the
you.
star.
I'll get your photographs ready. Yeah, that's a good site.
So we're going to build this compound over at the JCC in the woods over there. They've got these spectacular woods. If you folks aren't familiar with them, and I grew up in Churchill and I was not familiar with them, they are unbelievable. It's a beautiful ravine. We're going to build this compound there where this family has lived for, again, 6 generations. It's going to be a pretty significant build, all movie scenery. It's temporary stuff. It'll go in and come out. We have been working with the municipality, zoning, and other folks to make sure that this is all done in a manner that's consistent with what you all would like. We're going to be confined within the JCC's properties for the beginning of our shoot. We can get all of our equipment, everybody on that property for a good portion of the work. But from June 22nd through August 21st of this year, camp's in session at the JCC, and that affects our ability to enter in through the main entrance of the property. And I don't know, Mr. Caleri, I assume that you're familiar with the property, and maybe some of the rest of you are. But because there's going to be all those kids there, and we do have a lot of stuff, we've worked it out with the JCC where we're going to enter the property through an alternate access point, which is an egress that the JCC owns, which runs off of Poplar Street. And it's an old access road, which has come out off service over the years. We're going to improve that road, and that will enable us to get in and out of where we're working while camp's in session for that 2-month time period. And then once camp is out, then we'll go back to being on site for the entirety of our work when we're there. Just to be clear, we're not going to be there every single day for the next few months. Shea Mountain is only a portion of our scripted material. We'll be in other parts of the city. Our sound stage is down in the Strip District. I would expect that 25 to 40% of our total shoot days will be spent at the Jewish Community Center's property there. When camp's in session, I don't know, figure maybe 15 to 20 days of total time accessing the property through that back area. We naturally are going to reach out to the neighbors on Andorra, Aurelia, and Poplar Street because there'll be an increase in traffic over there. Moreover, there's just activity. There's a lot of activity over there that they're not accustomed to having. We obtained a canvassing permit from the municipality, and we've been going around knocking on doors, meeting the neighbors. The way that we go about doing these things, wherever we go, is wherever we're going to have any impact, we want to meet everybody. Provide them with contact information for our production, somebody who's on the ground who can respond to any concerns that they may have at any moment in time. We want to obtain every single neighbor's phone number, their contact information. As our schedule develops throughout the season, we'll be able to reach out to them and let them know when we'll be there. This is just the way that we like to do business. People don't like to be surprised, and keeping people informed is really the most important thing on our part. I don't want your police department, I don't want anybody to receive phone calls from your residents with complaints about what we're doing. It's probably inevitable, but we will address them, and we endeavor to deal with every concern that anybody has. We want to leave Monroeville with the people in that neighborhood having had a good experience. We want them to tell other people in the area that a project was done close to them and that it was a little bit of an upheaval, but it was tolerable, interesting, and kind of a fun thing. And that if somebody knocks on their door, please answer the door and talk to those folks. That's what we do. There's a couple of things that sort of deviate from normal goings-on here in Monroeville. One is that I am nearly certain that we're going to have a handful of night shoots. And for us, if you see a night scene in a television show or a movie, that crew worked all night that night. We wait till the sun goes down, then we light it for photography, and then we shoot all night long. When the sun comes up, we wrap and go home. So there will be a few days where we'll be out there. I would reckon more than a few days, where we'll be out there for overnights. We are going to be down in that ravine, and I think that we're going to be well off the beaten path, and it's not going to have any kind of a real impact on the neighbors. Also, just the very nature of a film set, we're pretty quiet. I mean, we have to be for what we do. That said, we're going to have some equipment that will be moving around at odd hours, and it's going to be important for us to speak with the neighbors to let them know what's going on at any given time, particularly when we're going to be there at night. Another thing that I've spoken with zoning about, some things that we'll want to address. This is a family that lives on a mountain. They have campfires. So we'll have campfires, not just for authenticity's sake, but also to light some of our scenes. Whenever we have anything like that, we have a special effects department that's on site with us. If we have a candle in a scene, if any project has a candle in a scene, they have a special effects person there with a fire extinguisher. We're extremely careful about those kinds of things. But I will want to speak with the fire chief, one person who I haven't actually spoken with yet. So it just... Great, thank you. And we also have one big scene out there. These folks don't really travel on normal vehicles. They've got these crazy ATVs that they get around on. And there's one scene early on in our pilot episode where there's this ATV jousting scene where we'll have a couple of stuntmen that'll kind of be, and then the rest of the family's going to watch while this goes on. I would anticipate that we'll probably want to have an ambulance on site for that, but just in case something happens to one of the stunt guys. We'll be talking. Anyway, that's kind of what I have to talk about, and I am here to answer any questions that you all might have, and I'd like to leave my contact information for you all, in particular you, Mr. Cagliari. We are speaking with people who live within your ward right now as we speak, and we're also, we have a letter that basically illustrates what we're doing in broad brushstrokes that we're presenting to them, and then capturing their contact information. We're having them sign their letter, provide us with their contact information, not only so that we have that in our file so that we can reach out to them, but so that we can evidence to you all that we have done our due diligence as far as reaching out to every single one of these residents over there. That's really about it on my end. I do have some overheads to show you a little bit about what we're doing over there. I have some interesting concept drawings and things which because of the fact that we're televised right now, the network they'd be very unhappy with me if I disclosed some of this stuff because they want the world to be surprised by that.
Give it to Tim and he can just,
Yeah, I'd be happy to share it with you all confidentially. Just to give you a sense about our compound, I'm not sure how well you'll see this based on what I'd seen before.
It'll take me a second to try to focus it.
Okay.
That camera's not liking it at all.
Yeah, and you know what, I have some
I'll
close...
show you what it looks like, but
Again, I can leave these so that you guys can take a look at them in person. Yeah.
well, you know what, John, just for a suggestion, maybe give them to Tim, and if council, maybe after the meeting wants to take a look at it, or if they just want to come back, since you don't want that shown because of, the confidentiality right now, I think that would be appropriate.
Sure.
I think-
Yeah, I'll be happy to. And I can supply you with additional copies of these too, so that you all
I think
have them in
just
your
one,
files if
unless,
you'd like.
yeah, one's good enough, because we can all zip in and.
Yeah, it is, I mean, it is significant. We're building a barn out there. We're going to build a couple of wacky-looking homes and some shacks and shanties, and they have a still where they make this crazy alcoholic beverage. We won't actually be doing that, but
You mean we can't have?
Oh, no homemade moonshine.
you don't want this. I've read it. I've read what it does in the script. You don't want it. That's a spoiler alert there. So, yeah, but there'll be a lot of activity out there. There'll be a lot of building out there. It's going on right now. That poor construction crew's been out there all week in this quagmire, but they're getting it done. Everything that we're doing out there is essentially temporary. You know, we'll pull it all out and fold the sets when we're finished with the season. What we are doing a little bit of road improvement work out there. It's all being done with gravel. There's no runoff issues or anything like that. We've worked with zoning as far
I was
as
going
those
to say,
things
you've
go.
already addressed that with our engineer.
Those guys are on top of it, and we're doing everything in compliance with what they require. And then the intent is to clean it up and leave the property in better shape than when we came.
Thank you for that.
Any questions, council, for John?
What's the network? Can you disclose the network?
Yeah, Sony Pictures Television is producing it, and WGN, a cable network out of Chicago, has purchased the product. They have just recently gotten into original programming. I grew up watching Cubs games on WGN, but they most recently have launched a series called Manhattan, which is scripted narrative television that revolves around the atomic bomb project of the 40s. And there is another program about to be released called Salem, which revolves around the witch hunts of the 1600s in Massachusetts. So those are their first two forays into original programming, received very well. This will be their third. It's fiction, scripted narrative fiction, but pretty interesting stuff. Great cast. I'm looking forward to it.
Very good. Once again, council, any other questions?
No, I would just,
Are you
sounds
gonna
like you're
get us
dotting your
all-
i's and crossing your t's. I would just ask if anything arises, just keep us up to date.
We
Yeah.
will, I assure you. And we'll be working very closely I've met with Mark a couple of times, who's been very, very helpful as far as letting us know what we need to do in order to make the community happy.
Linda?
Did you say you were going to give us a letter that has, that has the scheduling? Are we all going to get that, or are you just going to give it to Mr.
Well,
Cook?
what I've got a couple of different things. We have a very tentative schedule right now. We have a schedule for the first block. We're going to shoot this series in blocks, which means we shoot two episodes concurrently. And our first block has been fully scheduled. More or less fully scheduled. And then as the series unfolds and we move into our second, third, fourth, fifth blocks, schedules will develop as we go. And I'll be able to provide them to the neighbors, to the municipality, to the police department, to everybody who's going to want to know when we're going to be out there. As far as the letter goes, I believe that you might be referring to the letter that we're sharing with the neighbors and then having them endorsed to show that they're on board. I can share that with whomever would like to see it.
No, I just thought if there was a scheduling, so that if any of us got a call, we would have an
We'll
answer.
we'll be sharing that with you all. In fact, I'd be happy to send an email out to some host party. Tim, maybe you. And then you can disseminate it to whoever would be interested.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, John.
All right,
Thank you.
very much.
Yeah, it sounds exciting.
Thanks, John. Good job.
Okay, council conducted an executive session for personnel and litigation reasons prior to tonight's Citizens Night meeting beginning at 6 p.m. And we did break up around 6:50 p.m. Council legislative action, if any, shall be taken at the April 14th, 2015 council meeting. So council, if you look at Citizens Night meeting of March 5th, 2015, the council work session of March 5th, 2015, and the regular council meeting of March 10th, 2015. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, we'll move over to our reports of our tax collections. And once again, council, any questions or comments? Pat is here. Seeing none, we'll move over to the list of bills, budget transfers, and payroll. On the payroll, any questions or comments, any corrections or additions? Seeing none, we'll move over to the list of bills and budget transfers. Linda, we'll start it off with you.
I don't have anything.
Nick?
No questions this evening.
Ron?
None.
Nothing, sir.
Paul? Steve?
I have nothing.
No, thank you.
And Tom. And moving over to our bids and proposals on the 2015 commodity bids, see the attached list. Tim, if you would.
Council, you can see in your packet that all the commodities for 2015 have come in, and I am not going to go over those in a fine-tooth comb. You can see those that are highlighted are the low bids for each commodity. Just for bituminous paving, guide rail, reinforced concrete, wood safety, surfacing materials, sign blanks, sign posts,
We get it.
small paving in place, crushed stone, storm sewer grates, and the storm sewer pipe. On the storm sewer pipe, if kind of interesting, we have received identical unit prices from two vendors. We had 4 vendors that submitted bids, and 2 of them are exactly the same on the unit price, as you can see for the, let's see, this would be for the storm sewer pipe, and then, and that's for the top part of the spreadsheet, and then the middle one, the same thing. The unit price is exactly the same. I don't know if Mr. Alexander wants to chime in here, but I told Mike Adams, our Public Works Superintendent, to vary it back and forth, and he said that's not too much of a pain to do that, because both of them are exactly the same on a unit price. You want to comment on that, Craig?
I have no problem with that at all.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, and that is, so when, at the council meeting on Tuesday, my suggestion would be just to pass a motion on the whole thing, if that's permitted, and instead of going through even each commodity, but if council has any questions as they look at this over the weekend, before we do that, speak up on the particular commodity or even a unit price or whatever.
That's fine.
Okay?
No issues, Craig?
None.
Okay, very good. Any questions or comments on that item before you, council? All righty. We'll move over to new business, and Tim, if you would.
The new business, we have 1, 2, I'm just talking about the conditional use public hearings this evening. And the first one under new business is for Andrew Stewart, Monmouth Partners, and it is a conditional use pursuant to Section 204.1 of Ordinance 1443 to construct 2,313 square feet for a drive-through restaurant and associated site amenities. This is for the Panda Express, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. At this point, yeah, this is a public hearing.
Okay, then we'll officially open up the public hearing. And gentlemen, if you want to come on up and explain your issues, and then obviously we'll open up to any public comment. Please sign in and state your name for the record.
Just on the conditional uses. Well, no, these conditional uses, and also another conditional use. Oh, it's a different one.
Yeah, 4. Gentlemen, if you would.
My name is Boyd Ernzer. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Boyd Ernzer. I'm with the firm of Farringer McCarty Gray.
Gentlemen, who's going to be testifying? You should probably raise your
Anybody
hand.
that's going to be testifying should be sworn in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Proceed, Jack.
Thank you. My name is Jack Finnegan. I represent the applicant. Just to clarify things on your new procedure, I understand you're only going to hear tonight the two conditional uses as opposed to the accompanying site plan and subdivision. Is that correct?
That is
Okay,
correct.
okay. We'll probably have to touch base upon those other things.
That's fine.
And give you a little bit of history on it before we do that. Do you have a drawing?
Yes.
The two conditional uses are because your ordinance classifies it that one's at a major corner, intersection, it requires conditional use approval for any development, and the other because the Panda Restaurant is a drive-through restaurant. There we go. This kind of shows everything that we're going to be presenting both tonight and Tuesday, and incidentally, I can't be here.
I want to straighten it out a little bit there, Jack.
What?
No, the
I'm
drawing.
sorry. I can't be here Tuesday night, and I'll have another attorney, Adams, in here to finish it up, but just to explain the whole thing to you. First of all, on this site, we had to get a number of variances mostly because of parking and building encroachment. We achieved all those, or we have all those, and got approval from the zoning hearing board, and we had a two-lot subdivision, and we had to go back and get a three-lot subdivision because of stormwater management issues, and we solved that, and now we have a three-lot subdivision, which I'll explain. This is the corner of 22 and 48. It's the southwest corner. The former Tony Tice Golf Gas Station, what you can see is kind of in a dilapidated state up there now. And it's proposed to put a new Panda Restaurant there on the corner, 2,400 square feet. 2,400?
2380, I believe it is.
And that's part of what is Lot 2, that you can see in the orange, if you can see that. There's parking there, the variances, actually, some of the variances that we were able to get there were really nonconformities existed over there for many, many years, and we did that to kind of straighten out the record, if you will. On this Lot 2 is really the extension of this existing Highmark and Kinko's building there, okay? And it's proposed to extend it over to this other lot, Lot 1A, or 1B, I guess. 1A, it's 101A, I'm sorry. And there's going to be a small restaurant of 1,800 square feet and a retail space of about 2,300 square feet. That's kind of the site plan layout, but I have to kind of go through that to explain what the conditional use is for the drive-in and because it's on a corner. All three lots actually comply with the parking, and we got the variances for the side yards and so forth. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Boyd. But there's really no other legal matters to address, and I think it's a matter of strictly compliance. So, Boyd, why don't you take it over?
Sure. Yeah, William Penn Highway, of course, is here. There are essentially 4 entrances off of William Penn Highway. All of those would remain. There's a right in and a right out that goes to the old Kinko's building, the FedEx and Highmark. There's a right in halfway between here and the intersection that would remain, and then there's an exit out at the corner. We're not touching any of those entrances or exits. They'll remain essentially the same, although we are replacing the sidewalk completely around the building. The Panda Restaurant is essentially at the corner, and there is a drive-through. It's a typical, like a fast food Chinese restaurant. The entrance is here. The ordering is on the side, and the pickup is in the rear of the building, and then the exit out is back on the William Penn Highway face of the building. We're showing extensive landscaping around the building, and as Mr. Fitting had said, the two conditional uses are for the drive-through itself, the drive-through aisle, and for the fact that it's at the corner of a major intersection, William Penn Highway and Strohshine. I have a couple of photographs that show what the building will look like. This is the Panda Restaurant. Actually, that would be the corner facing Strohshine and William Penn. And this is actually a photograph of the actual building that they will be constructing. This is a building that is in Texas right now, so it's not an artist or architect's rendering. And then this is looking at the Panda Express restaurant from the other side, as if you were coming up William Penn and heading east. And there will be an outdoor eating area similar to this.
Boyd, can you mention the access on Stroshine Road, the closure?
Yes, I'm sorry. Stroshine Road, there is an existing entrance here and here. We will be closing that entrance, the close entrance on Stroshine. So we are closing one entrance on Stroshine. The other entrance would remain the same. Stroshine, as everyone, or as most people know, is a county road. PennDOT highway is Route 22. So this area right in here is presently open. We will be closing that.
So you'll leave the one access.
The one access.
Close the one, leave the one on that.
Close the one
Okay.
closest to the intersection, which is
Correct.
always a
It's
bit
very-
unsafe.
Yes,
Yes,
it's,
exactly.
okay, good. That was going to be the question
Council, any
anyway.
questions for these gentlemen? Anybody in the audience have any questions they would like to ask on this issue? This is a, come on up,
Come on.
sign in, state your name for the record, if you would.
My name's Betsy Desmond.
Nice
Are you gonna be able to sit inside and eat, or is it
Betsy,
just?
did you get sworn in?
For who?
You're doing any test. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please proceed.
Is it gonna be eating, seating, or just
Yes.
drive-through?
No. It's similar to like a Chipotle. There's a dining room. You can see the dining room in here. The drive-through is around the back. So you can either drive through, order at the order window, come around and pick it up, or you can actually go in and sit down.
And when's this opening up?
I
don't know, there's still,
Probably later this year.
Yeah.
As soon as we get,
Sir, you have to talk into the microphone.
I'm sorry, as soon as we have final approval, they would be starting.
Yeah, I think they're done or substantially done with the environmental work that was being done over there. So it's a matter of getting the approval and putting whatever they're going to put together legally. And they do have a definite time plan, but we don't know what it is until we get the approvals, and they kick all that stuff in.
Is the Kinko's building leaving? Kinko's, that building going, or?
No.
That's
no,
going to stay?
This is the Kinko's building. That'll remain exactly the
understand.
same.
Yeah,
And
they're
then
extensions.
This is just built on the east side of
I
it.
got you.
There's another, essentially an addition to that building.
Mark, any questions or any issues, or Paul, anything that you wanted to add?
The applicants comply with the streetscape program and it complies with the comprehensive plan. I will add too that you will have an outdoor dining area as well.
Yes.
Yep, yeah, we mentioned.
Yeah, he mentioned that, right?
No, indoor in the drive-through only. so. And that is at the corner of William Penn Highway and Stroshine Road, just for clarification purposes. Yes, you said 48.
You said 48.
Oh, did I? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. I stand corrected.
Once again, I'll leave it up for anybody else, any questions on this application. This is certainly your time, since it is a public hearing. Council, any other comments or questions? Please.
Jack, you have seen the conditions. Your client's okay with the various conditions on both conditional uses?
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen them, but I think they're fairly standard, as I recall. There's no extras.
Jack, we need to mention that you're requesting the waiver.
Isn't that?
That would be part of this conditional use hearing.
No, that's on cats.
That's a cat.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize, you're right.
No, I think we're fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll declare this meeting closed. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim, if you would.
Yeah, item number 3 is with the same development, but it's for the site plan approval. There's no public hearing required for that, and that also will require a motion this Tuesday evening. And also, the item number 4 is for the same development, there's 2 different parcels, I guess, from here. Okay, site plan, I'm sorry, it's the site plan approval for 1,800 square feet, and item number 4 is for the subdivision. Item number 5 is another conditional use public hearing that we have to have for the Katz Building, Hertz Car Rental. Applicants requesting a conditional use approval for a vehicle sales area for leasing and renting of vehicles.
Okay, once again, we'll open up the public hearing on these 2 items. Anybody testifying, please raise your hand. Swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth will help you God.
I do.
Jack, if you'll proceed.
Sure. Once again, my name is Jack Finnegan. I represent the applicant. This is a conditional use application because your ordinance requires that the office space for this type of vehicle use is a conditional use. So that's the reason we have the public hearing. This building has been here in Monroe for a long time. I don't know when it was built, but probably in the 60s or earlier. It's a Dappel Jewelers is down there, and there's a couple other tenants. But the building, the footprint is not changing. The parking is changing a little bit, and a little bit more landscaping. And we moved the handicap parking to the rear. And you may or may not recall that to the west, next to the KFC building, there was diagonal parking. We're going to take that out and make it a little, it's going to be straight parking, a little easier, because they were parking on our side and so forth. So that's all straightened out. The handicap is where it was requested to be. There's very little change to the site except the parking itself, and the footprint is the same. There is one item. We need to request a waiver from council because your ordinance requires that the office space for this type of use should be 2,500 square feet. We have 1,710. It's going to be a Hertz vehicle rent space. There's going to be 10 spaces allocated out in the back for parking, and the other 34 are the required spaces for the building. But we do request that, and I understand somebody's proposed it. It's in the conditions of the ordinance. So there's not too much more I can say about it. Maybe Boyd can fill in some blanks, but it's pretty straightforward.
We essentially rearranged the parking. There were about 35 parking spaces, and we now have 44. Of the 10 extra spaces are for Hertz.
Go ahead.
No, I have a question for Paul and/or Mark about the conditional use on that for the minimum of 2,500 square feet. No detriments to that or anything with that waiver?
No, I think the reason why they wanted to reduce it is to keep everything on one level. The square footage of the current building there now is 3,600 square feet. If they were to comply with the 2,500, they would actually have to extend the office to the second floor. We're going to give them the benefit of doubt.
So your recommendation is okay
Our
with the waiver?
recommendation is that I think 1,710 square feet should be sufficient for this type of use.
Actually, if you read your ordinance and the definitions that go back into the history a little bit, it becomes clear to me anyway, one reason for that rule, and it's a good rule, is to stop in the 50s and 60s. You remember the car lots with the lights and everything else, and somebody sets up a trailer and sells cars. I think that was one of the reasons.
Point well taken.
I think that's one of the reasons for the ordinance. So maybe not technically applicable, but I think that's the history of
Is
it.
this space vacant right now?
It is vacant, yes.
It is vacant.
The office is.
The office is.
Just the office.
Yeah, there's several tenants in the building, but Hertz will be renting a vacant space.
Okay.
The jewelry store is still there.
That's what I was trying to
Yes, the
figure
jewelry
out.
store's still there, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
The jewelry store, and there's a nail salon, and then there's some uses on the second floor as well.
Like an
Okay,
insurance
so,
or something.
all right, so you're just taking a portion space, and you're going to do the parking lot to accommodate what you're doing, the parking, and some landscaping
Yes.
upgrades?
Linda,
Okay.
the parking lot's going to be designed to handle the current use that's currently in the building, as well as the use that they need for the Hertz rental.
Okay.
Who will own the property?
The same owners own it, Mr. and Mrs. Katz have owned that property for,
Ever.
So Hertz is just going to lease the property?
oh, yes, they're leasing.
Okay. And have they signed a lease agreement yet?
There is a lease in effect.
And
yes.
what is the length of
Contingent
the
upon
lease?
all these. Pardon me?
What is the length of the lease?
You know, I read, I don't remember. It's probably at least 10 years. It doesn't make any sense to have a short-term lease and there's renewals in it.
That's
but
why I asked that
I don't
question.
recall the exact term. I can let you know that, though.
Thank you.
Any other questions, council? Once again, I'll open up to anybody, any questions from our audience. This is, again, your public hearing on on this issue. You certainly can address that as we speak. Seeing none, once again, council, anything else before I close?
No, sir.
This meeting is closed.
Uh,
Oh, you
Question,
have something
do
else?
we need a separate vote, or not vote or anything, on council night for the waiver? Or is that just part of the deal?
I would
The
think
waiver would be approved with the
Okay.
approval
Okay.
process.
And once again, I apologize, I can't be here, but Attorney Adam Zinzer, who's sitting with me, will be here to.
we'll be nice to them,
In
not
my-
like we are with you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
He's a lot younger than you, too.
Well, so is everybody else here, but.
Tim, if you would.
Okay, item number 6 is the site plan approval for the Katz building that we just discussed. Item number 7 is another conditional use for the applicant request. This is for the J.C. Bar Development LLC, CVS Pharmacy and Retail. Applicant requests a conditional use approval pursuant to Section 204.1, conditional use of Monroeville zoning ordinance as amended. This is for the CVS on 286. Public hearing, yes, this is conditional use, public hearing.
Okay, who
correct.
is going to testify? Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please sign in, gentlemen, and state your name for the record.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sean Gallagher with Buchanan, Ingersoll, and Rooney, and I represent the applicant. And with me is Don Hultberg, who is with the Eads Group, who's the consulting engineer. Our project is for a new CVS retail pharmacy, which is a permitted use under the zoning ordinance in the district, except that we are at a major thoroughfare like the previous, and that makes it a conditional use. We have already received, I think, 5 variances from the zoning hearing
Can you
board last.
straighten that out under the eyes? You can do the TV and straighten it a little bit.
Let's see what works.
The zoning hearing
That's
board.
good. That's good.
The zoning hearing board last month, and we otherwise comply with all the other requirements of the zoning ordinance. Just as a preliminary matter, Mr. Alexander, we've submitted a conditional use narrative that has the exhibits that support our application. We would just ask that be made part of the record.
Thank you.
We have filed a land development plan, a lot consolidation plan, and this conditional use, and we are working with the township and proceeding on the land development issues, and hope to be here next month for that. But in the interim, we're under a very tight construction schedule, so we asked the solicitor's office and Mark if we could at least go forward on the conditional use to get the hearing over with. So.
Do you want to maybe explain your project very
Yeah.
briefly?
Be happy to. We're looking at Golden Mile Highway, Old Frankstown Road, and Old Abers Creek Road. When you add in the 3 roads, we have a very long, narrow site. This is the old strip center here, and I believe it's called Golden
Goblet.
Goblet.
Golden Goblet.
Okay, Golden Goblet. And then we have the yogurt place and.
There's like a smoke shop and.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what the third one is. So we're
Where's the
going to be taking
Corsetti
all
building?
those.
Corsetti building's on the corner, I think.
We're going to take them all to the creek. In fact, we'll actually own the land over here, which we plan on cleaning up and regrassing to try to take care of. Apparently, there's some parking issues and some just problematic areas we're going to clean up here. We're proposing an 11,945 square foot building. This is their CVS prototypical building you'll see all over. There's 65 parking places installed with landscaping and so forth.
Is there going to be a drive-through at this CVS?
There is. That drive-through will be right here.
Okay.
There'll be an individual drive lane just for the drive-through coming
Okay.
around the back.
Will you have access from the Abers, the back road? That
Abers
road.
Creek.
Yes.
Have access right here
Are you
at
going
this
to
location.
fix that road? Are you going to do something with that?
We actually are. We're going to repave the road and put curb and gutter in.
Wonderful.
All the way to this location.
Okay,
Across from the
great.
U-Haul, I believe, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
That's like driving on the moon.
that is a mess. That's,
I think the moon's smoother, quite honestly.
yeah,
Or World War II Germany.
that's a
yeah.
mess back there.
Yeah.
That's
France.
wonderful to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, CVS wants to use that as one of their main access points. Obviously, 286 is their main access, but we all know what that traffic gets to be like.
Mm-hmm. Right, and you
so-
get a lot of people that will come up from this way that would like to turn on there and come into your,
Yes.
facility,
And
and
we're
they
working
don't have to
very
get out to the
closely right
major
now
main-
with PennDOT on the widening project. We've already had a couple of meetings with their construction company, so we're all kind of on board with what needs to occur so that they don't put in driveways that we're going to rip out a week later.
Okay.
So that's.
Paul or Mark, isn't there some storm water issues there, or am I in the wrong?
We're working through those.
Okay.
Actually,
And
they've
I thought
submitted.
there was.
They submitted a new plan today. It's under review. Hopefully it'll be okay.
And I think we'll address those at the next time for land development.
Thank you.
Do you want to, I'm sorry, I forget your name, I apologize.
Don Holtberg.
Don, you want to explain the traffic movement, especially the deliveries going into the site?
Sure, the deliveries are, will be accepted at this door right here on the building.
Can you explain how often the delivery?
Yeah, the one truck, the one big tractor trailer they bring in comes in once a week. And they try to do it at off-peak hours, usually in the evening. So that truck will be coming in. We're showing, you can kind of see a double line here that shows the path of the truck. We're going to bring him in here. He's obviously going to maneuver himself back here to park as close to that door. They need to get as close to that door as possible because of all the drugs. Once he unloads, he'll leave, he'll come out, and then we're going to bring him back across the front of the store. And this is a full access driveway now with the left turn lane they're putting out front here. So that truck can either at that point go east or west.
So if he,
Isn't there a cement medium there?
No, there is not. There's not going to be a cement median there.
okay, so if he has to cross traffic to go east on 286, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We've discussed this in-house. Council should know we've discussed this in-house, and going out Abers Creek Road and coming out to the light would be a better way. However, there is an issue there with a culvert there. Okay, that the trucks, the weight of the trucks will not take that. Okay, and council should be aware of that, and we just discussed it in-house internally. Okay, just so council's aware of that.
Any issues?
I don't have any issues to this point.
One truck a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, granted, one truck a week is not a lot.
Okay,
There's no
council,
question
any
about it.
questions for these gentlemen? Any others?
I have none.
Okay.
Yes, just briefly, actually, just curiosity. What is the next adjacent, I see where the building is on the diagram. What is the next adjacent property?
Right here?
Yes.
That is the
What's staying?
the real estate
Remax
Remax.
Remax.
The
So
Remax building.
everything's going except for the Remax?
That's
Remax
correct. We
building.
stop at the Remax.
Very good.
Dr. Corsetti's office goes too.
Yes, that's going.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I-
Once again, I'll open up to anybody in our seated audience here. This is open for you to address any issues or questions you have of these gentlemen.
That'd be nice.
I'm all excited about the back road. I don't know about
Me
it.
too. Me too.
Once again, council, any other questions for these gentlemen?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, good.
This meeting is closed. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your time and consideration.
Gentlemen.
Guess we'll see you on Tuesday.
Moving over to motions, Tim, if you would.
Okay, item one, the first motion is just a formality because the fire companies were here during the budget sessions talking to council about that there is going to be a fire training convention the first weekend in May. But I put this on there just as a formality because the training center is municipal property, and it's just a formality to permit them to use it, which council knows, and council not agreed to it formally at the budget sessions, but it's just a formality, and unless council has any other questions or issues with it.
Council? Tim,
I guess-
next. Oh, I'm sorry.
The only question I have is, I do recall this years ago when we did this, we had to set up, Public Works, when I say we, Public Works had to set up a bunch of utilities. That's not necessary this time? They're not staying in the trailers and, okay.
No, not to my knowledge.
Any other?
Do you remember that, Paul?
Yeah, well, that was a convention. That's different than this.
Okay.
It was,
Well, this is a convention.
Yeah,
Training
but it's not
convention.
that kind of convention.
Okay.
It's a
Different
different
type.
convention.
That's all I had, thanks.
Any
Okay.
other questions, council? Tim?
Okay, item number two is a formality, too, of a motion to appoint Ronald Brown Esquire of Brogan Graffin PC as bond counsel for the 2010-2011 bond refinancing, which I'll be going over with council here just a little bit later. So unless council has any questions on that.
Continue.
Item number three is we had some discussions with council on this, and if council wants to discuss this further, do they want me to keep this on the agenda or remove it?
Council?
I say remove it.
Remove it.
Okay, we'll remove item number three under motions.
And move over to resolutions, if you would.
Okay, item number one is a resolution adopting the Mon Mall Partners Pana Express sewage, this is for the sewage planning module on the conditional use that we just had. And item number two is a housekeeping item on the exoneration of our real estate tax collector, Mr. Fulkerson. That's in your packet. and he has signed it on the taxes he has not collected, which after you pass that, that goes to the delinquency stage, as we were talking about before.
Can I just comment that I asked
Sure.
Mr. Fulkerson about that, and
Yeah,
it is a
come on up for a
housekeep.
second.
No, and it is a housekeeping item, and they still are pursuing those taxes. That's all there was. He,
That's all.
You don't need Pat?
no.
Oh, okay.
No, it was simple, it's just a clarification so that everyone understands that.
And then, Tim, the third item, if you would.
Yeah, the third item is an amendment to our resolution on a scrap metal policy. And this was passed, so the funds that are collected for the scrap metal at the Public Works Department are accounted for. There's very little cash transaction, and they're accounted for. Now, the question has become, and this has been a little bit of a controversy in the municipality in the past, this money has been used to have, we'll call it Christmas gathering, and it was stopped 2 years ago. And this resolution, the resolution itself is the same, but as far as the policy, have on there that the money, which usually is about maybe $1,000 that is collected with scrap metal, that the Public Works Department, they put in a bin down at the Public Works station, or they take it to the junkyard, and everything is accounted for with respect to the money we get for it. And council would like to use that money for a Christmas gathering for the employees and the officials.
Tim, if I could, I'd take it just a half a step further.
Sure.
Seeing as how I was the guy who was on the hot seat concerning all this when our former manager changed the scrap metal policy. I think what you're saying is, I think we should be able to do this, and I think we should put a dollar number on it, and it wouldn't exceed, to the best of my knowledge, $1,200. We could also take it another step further. Linda and I were talking one day. I don't know about anybody else here at council, but I know in my neighborhood, every garbage night, we have a gentleman that rides around in a pickup going from house to house to house, picking up scrap metal. What would be kind of unique in a way was if we could get some of our residents to understand, you know what, pick up the phone. Let our guys from over here pick up some of this scrap metal and put it in their bin when they're out doing whatever they're doing, and just help support the project that you're after. Just a thought.
I know we could do that.
Okay, I'll add that to the procedures for Tuesday evening.
I mean, you'd have to look into manpower for that.
Sure,
If
I'm
the
saying
availability
if
is
they're
there.
there. That's all
Because
I'm
you're
saying.
actually, now you're telling the residents to call because they have scrap metal. Now you have to send an employee out.
Well, I'm sure we could find a way to get it done.
I mean, if someone's spring cleaning their garage out and they have a whole pile of it, and they want to
Might
call,
be-
I mean, it could be worth it. Something to look at.
Just a thought.
A lot of scrap metal down at Ethan Allen today.
Right. There you go.
All righty, folks, we're going to move over to reports of our municipal staff. And Craig, I'm putting you on a spot. Anything for us this evening?
No report.
Okay, Tim, you have the bond refinancing.
Yeah, we had a conference call. Bruce Dice, our solicitor, Ron Brown, our bond counsel, and Joe Chip McCarthy from Piper Jaffray, and myself on Monday. Mr. McCarthy from Piper Jaffray has submitted some numbers from his presentation he gave last month on a bond refinancing for a series of 2010 and 2011 bond refinancing. The 2010 series is callable on June 1st. The 2011 isn't callable until June 1st, 2016. That would be called an advance refunding. But I just want to briefly, and very briefly, go through these pages, and it is a lot of numbers, but I'm just going to highlight some of the stuff. And if council has any questions for me, they can ask. If I don't have the answer, I'll talk to Mr. McCarthy. But first, if council is okay with everything, the recommendation from Bruce Dyson and Ron Braun is to move ahead with this. The numbers seem to be good, and I would call Mr. Brown tomorrow morning. He would prepare the ordinance, and it would be advertised, and you would be able to pass the ordinance this Tuesday, okay, for this bond refinancing.
Can you give us some specifics of the benefit to the municipality?
Yeah, I'm going to go
Doing
through
this,
that.
please. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I have the pages numbered here for you. On the first page is the sources and uses of the funds. The par amount is $9.6 million. I'm going to be very brief about this. and the premium is $366,000 in the source, so that comes to about $9.9 million. And the uses are for going in on escrow, as Mr. McCarthy explained, for cash deposit, and the SLGS is called state and local government security purchases, and that's where the money goes. The cost of the issuance, which is probably one of the questions council might have, is the figure $156,000 and some change. That's for your legal, that's for Piper Jaffray, that's for the advertising and the reading of the bond issue. The other uses in funds, $387,000, that is what we would get, but just hold that in abeyance just for a second. The next two pages, 2 and 3, is just a breakdown of the two different series, a summary I just went over. Page 4 are the bonds we currently have that are being refunded, Series 2010 and 2011, which is $9,320,000. And as Mr. McCarthy explained last month, we have to keep everything at 10 million or under because it's called bank qualified. And so there's going to be some outstanding bonds listed in page 5 and 6 are what the outstanding bonds will have, and they'll remain with us at the interest rate we currently have, which the coupon rate there is 2.250. Page 7 is the current debt service we have on those bonds right now. Page 8 is going to be what is refunding and what will be the current debt service. Page 9 is the combined debt service of the 2010 and 2011. Page 10 is probably a little bit more, or excuse me, page 10, that's the savings that we're going to have. And go right to the bottom line there. We have, the PV stands for present value of savings from the cash flow, which is $2,300, and the refunding funds on hand is the bulk of it, $387,000. Now, that's a net present value savings. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to get exactly $389,000 because it's a present value that we have. $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow as present value savings go. But what we should do, moving to page 11, what we should take in is around a 3% of the par amount, which is, I said, about $9.6 million. We should take in about 3% of that, which is about, maybe about $300,000, maybe a little bit more than that. Mr. McCarthy just called me about 4 hours ago. He said the market changed, it was favorable. We'll probably take in maybe about another $10,000. But page 11 is probably, is the last page I'm going to look at here. Go right to the, let's see. The new coupon rate will be 2.6%, about halfway down the page. The par amount, 9.3, I said 9.6, I'm sorry, $9.3 million approximately, and a percentage savings on a refund, which is 4.183. Again, this is all in present value. Really, what we're going to get around about 3%, okay, which is about $300,000. That's basically the overview. The next 6 pages is just a breakdown of that summary page on page 11. And the last page, page 18, is just how our proposed aggregate debt service will appear after the refunding. There's a lot of numbers there, but the recommendation from Ron Braun, the bond counsel, myself, and Bruce is to move ahead with this, and if you say so tonight, not that a motion has to be passed, but I'll mention to Mr. Braun tomorrow, and an advertisement will go in the paper on Friday, and it'll be advertised. You don't have to advertise this ordinance the typical 7 days before a meeting. This only requires 3 days.
Council, we good?
I'm good.
Okay.
So our net benefit would be about $300,000.
Don't hold me to that.
I
That's
understand,
where
no,
we're
I'm-
at.
yeah, I understand, because they.
We're running. Now, that money, after the closing, which will probably be in May, you know, that money, we told Piper Jaffray to bring all the savings up front. We could have spread it out across, but you're not going to get a lot of, you're not going to notice it, I should say. We'll take that $300,000 as we have to, we'll put it into the capital improvement fund, and we'll use that for capital projects.
And that'll make the capital improvement fund about $550,000, is that correct?
Well, no, we're putting $1 million in each year on July 1st.
Okay.
But as we, we're taking money out of it too.
Right, okay.
So.
Thank you.
All righty. Paul?
No comments.
Sean? All righty, then we'll move over to our reports of our council, and Tom will start off with you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the new businesses that are projecting confidence in the community. And I'm very excited about all the new projects. And I understand we're going to have some additional projects down the road, and that's a good thing. I'd like to say thanks for everybody coming tonight, and thank you.
Steve?
I have nothing tonight.
Paul?
Steve kind of shocked me a little bit. He didn't have anything tonight. I just wanted to bring up the library board is having a bake sale and a book sale this month. I apologize, I forget the exact date, but please go onto their website. It is attached to the municipal website, correct? And come on out, buy some baked goods and read a few books. That's all I have for tonight.
Jim?
Yes, sir. There's a few things going on at the convention center. Steel City Con will be there April 10th through the 12th. The Showmasters Gun Show will be there the 18th and the 19th of April. Deaf Nation will be there on the 18th from 9 to 5. Just Between Friends, Thursday, April 23rd through the 26th. Our hometown hero from Mike and Molly, Billy Gardell, is going to be in town both Friday and Saturday, the 24th and the 25th. I understand from everybody telling me that the shows are both sold out. Although, they have given me an 800 number that I don't know if you find a way to call me, I can give it to you. They're saying there's an 800 number that there's supposedly a chance of getting some tickets, but I understand they are sold out. The Monroeville Emergency Response Training Weekend is Saturday, May 2nd and the 3rd. Pan Spring Coin Show is Thursday, May 7th through the 9th. And the Pittsburgh Folk Festival is Friday, May 15th. And with that, I am done, sir.
Ron?
I just wanted to tell Sharon, I think on Tuesday, I'm going to have a correction to your minutes on page 10 when I announced the street light to be put on Bruner. I think you put Burma.
Okay.
That's unacceptable, Sharon. I'm sorry. I got to say it.
As far as the recent events that occurred in Monroeville, I think they kind of gone by the, not wayside, but I think people think about them. The mall incident, the recent shooting of the boy on Trefoil Court. And I got to thinking about these things, and I wanted to remind everybody that I don't believe many of these incidents could have been prevented at any or most part of any community. It could have happened. Those shooters or actors could have chose to do those acts in any community. It doesn't reflect on Monroeville. I don't believe that these acts define the community or its residents or its safety. What I do believe is that the community should be rated and judged by by these indiscriminate acts that rarely occur, but more so on how the community responds to it. And the mall responded with meetings with our community leaders. They had a community day at the mall that was tremendously successful. Sean Logan and the Visitors Convention Center and Visit Monroeville stepped up and helped to fund these projects. Law enforcement responded to bring the issues to a quick resolve. And so council and the municipal departments, the businesses, and most importantly, the residents responded positively to know that our community is a good one. And with all of us working together, we will keep Monroeville a safe place to work, shop, and live. So much for that. We had our first coffee with council at the senior center. I believe it went very well. I want to thank Tara Griesok for arranging it and the residents that came and attended. I understand that the McClure Road water line project is proceeding and the residents had a problem with the water line going through their property and that has been resolved. I also have received an email from residents on McClure Road who were very satisfied with the way the work was being performed and how the contractor seemed to be keeping the residents informed with what they were doing. I talked with Mr. Hugus, though, and here comes the bad news. He did a site visit and advised me that
that I should probably notify council, and I have seen the road in the past. And he found that the road paving is maybe only 1.5 inches thick with no base on the whole road. My thought was to ask Mr. Hugus, with the permission of council, to get the contractor to provide us with the funds, instead of paving in the ditch, to provide us with the equivalent in funds, and I wanted to ask council to pave the whole road. It's in very, very bad shape. It's been in very, very bad shape, and I can't see the contractor putting this piece of paving down where they did this water line and both sides of the roads being deteriorated. It's in very, very poor condition. I was going to hope to ask council's help to get that project done. Think about it, we can talk, I guess. A resident reported to me tonight that he was receiving prank phone calls, we'll call them that, from people who are identifying themselves as the Social Security office. And I'm sure you've seen it on the news where people have been getting phone calls from supposedly the IRS. And I've checked with both of these offices, and the IRS especially said they would never make a phone call to anybody. They would always communicate by paper. And the Social Security office, the same thing. This phone call he got was starting to request personal information, and I'm sure information that would cause them or allow them to attack this guy's finances or ID. So I wanted to make everybody aware to be careful of that. These people sound official, and neither of these federal offices would do that to you, and especially the senior citizens they seem to target. So I wanted to get that out there. I wanted to congratulate all three incumbent council people who are running. I know you're not elected yet, but I think the fact that nobody's running against you is kind of the sign that the residents are happy with your job, and I just wanted to congratulate you on that. Might be early, but I think the sign is out there, and I've been happy to serve with you on council. And just for the residents' information, this month's bills, we spent $94,000 on 12,000 tons of salt. And just every month, I'm going to give you an example of some of the things that people never hear. $19,000 on just streetlights in February. So it's not cheap to provide residents the services that they require, and I just want you to hear some of those dollars amounts. Lastly, I wanted to thank the Sheets Corporation and the demolition company down there. They donated the Ethan Allen building to the fire departments to drill in. They also offered it to the police department, K-9, and the FBI. It is now pretty much demolished, but I wanted to thank them for that opportunity.
Nick?
Yes, Mayor. We spoke last meeting about the tree trimming that's going to be occurring through Monticello neighborhood, and also the high tension wires that run kind of from like Westinghouse through like behind Tower Lawn Drive, through Beechwood Park, and into the Monticello neighborhood. There was a meeting. It looks as if there is unfortunately little that can be done, that they, First Energy has the right of way to do pretty much whatever they want to in those areas. What an avenue that residents can do, they can file an informal complaint through the PUC, and then someone from the PUC would contact them, and also First Energy would contact them. Some people that have done this, First Energy is willing to kind of work with people a little bit, but unfortunately, there's little that the municipality can do as far as that goes. So if anyone has any questions about that, they can contact me. I can help get them in the right direction with that, and we'll see. Hopefully, they go easy on some of these properties. It's very frustrating. I mean, a lot of people have had trees trimmed on their property, and it can be very frustrating, and but unfortunately, our hands are tied.
Can I ask a question of our solicitor on that issue there?
Yes.
Can we assist those residents in any way with the PUC? I mean, because again, it does affect property values, their values, if you will, and that whole neighborhood. Is there anything that we can do to assist them, Craig, legally? That we don't get, no, not legally, but I'm talking about that we don't get in trouble with that.
You can assist your residents always, in any way. I mean, you can't provide them with legal,
No, I understand that. I didn't mean that.
but yeah, you
I
can
apologize for
provide
that.
services to help them call, to do, prepare paperwork, whatever it is. Sure, outreach.
I'd be willing to help any way I can, Nick, on that, if that's, and I'm sure.
Well, I actually had met with one of the gentlemen, one of my residents had called, and they came out, and him and I walked up and down my street, and he gave me some cards and books, which I can bring Tuesday if anyone's interested. They are, from what he told me, they are willing to give, they're giving vouchers for replacement tree, shrub type things. You can't get one that's going to grow as high, over a certain amount, but they are giving those out. They will not drop trees on the residential properties and just leave them, as was alluded to.
Well, that was my concern. I thought that was a damn shame they're not even willing to work with the residents.
And he said that they will mark first, and if any resident has a question, that they will actually come back out. If there's a question that it's not within the 50, it's outside the 50-foot range, they will actually come out and remeasure with the resident directly. So it sounds, even though we can't stop what they're doing, it sounds like they're really doing their best to work with the residents as much as they can. That's,
Well, Nick, are they going to pursue the PUC end, the residents?
A couple of the residents I spoke to, they were going to, yes. And like I mentioned, and like Linda alluded to, I mean, First Energy, I mean, they don't want to just be the bad guys coming in cutting down trees. I mean, they are willing to try to assist residents as much as they can and try to, stay in their good graces. As far as the PUC goes and the informal complaints, one of the things that impacts First Energy is that if there are unresolved complaints, then First Energy has difficulty raising rates down the road. So they really take the complaints very seriously because it impacts them, down the road. So once again, if any resident has any concerns, contact me or one of your representatives, and we'll get you in the right direction as far as that goes.
Anything else for us, Nick?
And as far as anything else, that's all I have for this evening.
Linda?
quickly, I'd like to thank the Senior Center for hosting the first Coffee with Council. The next one will be Friday, May 1st at 10 a.m., and I will tell you about it again. So, Lower Ramsey Road, received a picture today, kind of the progress going on. I'm just asking, are we still planning for completion in May, Paul?
Unless we have another soggy week like we had this week, that's the plan.
Okay. So I
It's
just.
weather pending.
Yeah, okay, so I just like to keep the residents updated as much as possible on that schedule.
I
Since
will
it-
keep you abreast.
Okay. Also, Hillcrest Court, they had a scheduled meeting with the zoning hearing board, and that's been postponed till the May meeting. Mr. Shufo?
May 5th, yes, that's correct.
That's going to be on May 5th?
Yes.
So that everyone knows that that is not going to happen now till the May 5th meeting. All right, and then this Saturday, 1 o'clock, the Senior Center will be holding their bingo. It's a $15 fee with a chance to win $500. So if you're interested in that, that's Saturday at 1 o'clock. The other thing they're doing, they're starting a new class that's called Drums Alive. It seems to be, they're calling it like the new hot trend in fitness. So it's Monday at 6:30, they are doing an introductory class, so you can stop by, see what you think of it, if you like it. It will eventually be an 8-week class, and it's $4 per class. So you can go to the mall or choose the ones that you like. So, but it's something different. They're trying to introduce a new type of fitness of something every month or every other month just to get you interested and get you fit. So, and with that, that's all I have for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Obviously, we have our 20th annual cleanup day, the Jack Sedlak Memorial Cleanup Day. That is Saturday, April 25th from 9 to 11. And if you remember, we meet at the community park. We have some hot dogs and all that fun stuff. But this is really about, taking care of some of our roadways and certainly your neighborhood. So please call. The registration deadline is Monday, April 22nd. 2015, and the number is on our website, but even if you're after that, I'm sure we can maybe squeeze you in, and I hate to put you on the
Squeeze in
gun there.
everybody.
Joe, but we've done that in the past, and please, come on out, this is our community, and let's jump in there and clean it up. For those of you who attended the mayor superintendent open mic, to those that attended, thank you. We had about 45 to 50 residents here, and I thought it went very well. Our next one is Tuesday, April 21st, from 6:30 to, we normally knock it off around about 8, about an hour and a half to 2 hours. We try to keep the meeting, but it's an open format where you can just ask anything of myself or the superintendent, and there are no time restraints. I mean, I don't want you to take the whole 2 hours up, but certainly we don't gavel you down. It's very relaxed, and I think a lot of the residents enjoyed that were there, so hopefully we can fill the place next time. And Ron brought a good point up on the IRS, but there's another issue going around. There are folks calling saying they're from your IT, from your internet service provider. I was made mention of that. And again, they're asking for personal information. I would advise that you hang up with them.
Mayor, I'm sorry, T-Mobile is also calling and saying, asking for information as well.
So I would advise if you
Personal information over the phone.
don't give any personal information, but especially on this IT stuff, I would hang up with them and call your provider, ask them if they were seeking any additional information. That would be the best thing to do. It's sad that we have that issue to deal with, but, there's a lot of not so nice people out there looking to steal your information to do you harm. And I wanted to make sure of that. And thank you, Linda, for mentioning the senior center meeting with council and myself on May 1st. Please attend that as well. And Tim, you said you had another issue.
Yeah, one thing I should mention to council and also the public, the Rotary Club of Monroeville does a project every year, and they approached me about 6 weeks ago, and their project, what they want to do is they want to fix up the pavilion at Hawkeye Park. So they were, the two gentlemen, Bill Siegler, I'm sure most of you know him, he was on the school board for many years, has contacted, Bill Seeger, has contacted Mike Adams. It's going to be on April 25th, the same day as the cleanup day in the afternoon. So our Public Works Department's, going to assist them with just some materials and tools and things of that nature. But they're going to be taking care of everything else. It's going to be all volunteer, and I'll be up there myself after the cleanup day. Basically, it's just a T111 that has to be replaced, and so just so council.
And with that, council, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and good night, ladies and gentlemen.